Okay, hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of Beyond the Title Conversations with ServiceNow's Elite. Now today I have got a fantastic guest. His name is Marc Michel, and after several years in the audit and compliance departments of different banks, Marc has specialised in software supported processes for risk and compliance management. Now, since 2021, he has led ServiceNow's GRC solution consulting team in Central Europe, and he will shortly be joining one of ServiceNow's partners as their new Chief Revenue Officer. So, Marc, a huge welcome to you. Thank you for coming on today.
Thanks a lot thanks for having me, and I'm really excited to be here.
Oh, that's amazing. Do you know what? I have to start by telling everyone the story about how we met, because I think it's such a unique story. So we met in Vegas. We met standing in a queue waiting for, well, I certainly was waiting for Diet Coke can. I think you were waiting for something similar. And we were just waiting there for ages thinking, oh, are they going to bring them out? And then we just started talking, and it was just like, oh, and it was just really interesting to hear like your story and your journey, you know, while I was there. And I said, look, you've got to come on my podcast. So yeah, thank you for coming on. I really appreciate it. So yeah, did we get those cans of Coke in the end? I can't remember now. I don't think we did.
I think in the end we didn't. No, we were waiting for Diet Coke, and actually we were waiting for lunch, I guess. Right? So,
yeah, I know.
Isn't every story that starts with "we met in Vegas" a good story, right?
I know, right? I think in a normal setting it might be a bit strange, but yeah, hey, come on. In the ServiceNow community, I think they know what we mean. So yeah, but look, listen, I was really impressed with how you just had your career and how you got into ServiceNow. Could you just share with us, a little bit about your journey? That would be amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. So. Yeah, where do I start? You already said, right? So I've been a banker. I started my career in banking in a very small bank in Germany, actually my hometown, and joined the audit department there early on, and became an internal auditor. I know it's not the most famous position in an organization, but I think it really gives a great foundation, because you look into every aspect of a bank or the company in general, all the different departments, and you need to look into everything. So I think that was really a good foundation. And but yeah, at some point I thought, okay, I need to do more. I want to do more. So I did my master's degree on the side, and in a small local bank, let's be honest, so just feeding a family with just one salary is difficult. And for me, family was always the key driver, and the really what drove me to want to do more, right? So to be able to provide a good life to my family. And so I made a decision to join a bank in a bigger city in Germany, applied there. That was really an eye-opener for me, right? So, and I joined the financial crime compliance department there, so which is super interesting, I think. So, topics like anti-money laundering, fraud, anti-bribery and corruption, and all that stuff. And at some point, you move on, and you go to the next one. And I joined HSBC in Germany, and basically doing the same job in a slightly more senior role, of course. That's how I set the foundation in that governance, risk, compliance area. I know it's a bit a clunky topic for most people out there, but if you look behind the words, it's really interesting, right? So how did I get into software is a kind of funny story, because back then I had a neighbor, super nice guy, and we walked the dogs together, and we talked about our jobs, and he was like, oh, you're in compliance, you know what, I'm on the software business, but we sell compliance and risk management software. So I think we're doing the same thing, just from different sides, right? So I think you would be a great match for a pre-sales role. Are you interested in hearing that? Yeah, why not? Let's talk about that, right? So, and basically this is how my neighbor brought me into the software business as a pre-sales. And so I joined that company, did that pre-sales role for a couple of years, and then a colleague from there moved on to ServiceNow, and a year later I kind of followed him, right? So really, not really a traditional application story, I know, but I think this is how the world works, right? So I think network is super important. If I think back, so now the last 3 jobs that I got were through network. All right, so but it's always funny to tell the story that basically got that from walking the dogs. Right?
That's amazing. Honestly, it really is about networking, and and who you know as well. So what I thought was really interesting in your story is that obviously family was a big driver for you, so that kind of kicked it all off for you. But for anybody that doesn't know too much about the GRC module in ServiceNow, is there something that you would recommend, people that are new to ServiceNow to kind of learn about and try and join a company that is using it? Or what do you think?
Well, yeah, absolutely. I think most people don't really know a lot about it, and it's a different topic than the, let's say, classic ServiceNow topics that we have and where we serve our customers, but it's one of the, when not the best growing business units in ServiceNow, actually, right? So I highly recommend everyone to pick knowledge up about it, right? So, and like I said, it's completely different, but it's super interesting once you dive into it.
Yeah, absolutely. And in terms of your transition from going from the banking to the software side, how easy did you find it, or what were the main challenges that you sort of came across that you had to adapt to?
So I think for me it was like going out of comfort zone, to be honest, because if you're working in a good position in a large bank, I mean HSBC is huge, right? More than 200,000 employees worldwide, so it's a super safe job that you have, right? So especially with the employee protection laws in Germany. So if we always said, so if you don't steal the golden cutlery, then you will never be fired, right? So always the saying that we have. So for me, it really was going out of that security in a more volatile environment, and the growth opportunity was just so exciting for me, right? So doing a different job. So I really had that thought of going into how do you say that? The part of a company where you produce the money, right? So I was always in these back office, right? So internal audit, we typically call it third line of defense because it's far away from the actual business, right? So, and compliance too, right? So it's, and I had that feeling that I want to go back into customer facing role. And when then that offer came up, it was a pretty quick decision in the end. Yes, it was a bit kind of going into not that stable environment, but it's more flexible, to be honest, right? So the flexibility that we have in ServiceNow or in these jobs in general is amazing, right? With working from home, with just organizing your day like it suits your life, right? So if you need to have a doctor's appointment at 9 a.m., you do that, and then you continue working after that, or something like that, right? So it's really about delivering results instead of having FaceTime in front of your laptop or something, right? So that was really, it was just exciting for me to do that step. So I think it was a combination, right? And then joining a company where your neighbor, where your friend is kind of acting as your boss, gives you a bit of security too, right? Let's be honest about that. So that made it a bit easier for me to make that step, right?
Yeah, no, that's amazing. That sounds fantastic. And just, just in talking about like, going from a very safe, secure position to kind of taking that chance. And like, you talked about growth, but what was your mindset then? How did you kind of convince yourself that actually, you know what, I want to do this. I want to give it a go.
Yeah. So like I said, for me, first thought is always my family, and that it's safe for the family. So I was pretty sure that if it wouldn't work, I would get a kind of good job again, right? So you have that insecurity, of course, but to be honest, in that position, I never moved out of my hometown, right? So though I worked in a bigger city, I commuted, right? So, and it was 3 hours daily. So luckily I could work in the train a bit, but in the end I was away from home from, let's say, I don't know, 6:30 in the morning until 7 p.m. So just because of that entire commuting thing, right? So for me, having the ability to work from home, see my young kids growing up, having lunch with them, right? Maybe taking them to kindergarten or something in the morning, there was such a big benefit that outweighed the insecurity coming with it.
Yeah, no, I'm absolutely, I think, especially going from that lifestyle where you're early morning away, don't get back till, especially when you've got young kids, and especially when they're really young, and by the time you get home they're already in bed, or so you kind of do miss out on that. And I think COVID probably had a lot to play with it, with the whole concept of remote working becoming a bit more normal, but
absolutely.
And
that is a good point to be. So when I started that was pre-COVID, right? So that was in 2018. When I started that working from home lifestyle, and that was a huge thing back then, right? So working in a bank back then, you had to fight for only having 1 day working from home, right? So even if you're in a non-customer facing position, so that was just a big game changer for me.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's brilliant. And it's obviously your neighbor is somebody that probably you look up to and are very thankful for. Do you have any other sort of mentors or anyone that's been a real inspiration, and like how they've inspired you is probably like the right sort of question to ask.
No, yeah, absolutely. I think having mentors is important, but for me, the best mentors I had always have been those that didn't realize they were my mentors. Like being my line manager that I had a very good connection with, or maybe a colleague that I could look up to, had a more senior title internally or something, who were just doing good, right? So I had official mentors in my career, and I super grateful for that they take that time, especially when you have very senior people, and I don't know, every second week or every third week they take 30 minutes out of their full day just to talk to me and help me. That is amazing, and I highly appreciate that. But in the end, it's those people that you work together with on a day-to-day basis. You see them acting, you see how they're doing, how they're approaching stuff, and just giving you little hints every now and then. And that really, really helped me. Like, okay, come on, I have that very interesting meeting. Just come join me, sit next to me. You don't have to say anything, just listen in. So just like doing me a favor, and then afterwards I could talk to them about that. That was really, really helpful for me.
Yeah, no, definitely. And it's true, like there are people that you take inspiration all around, right? So it doesn't always have to be people higher than you. It can be people around you, on your your peers, your teammates, and I think we can all learn from each other, right? So I think that's fantastic. So in terms of like there's a lot of people joining the ServiceNow industry. They're doing the next gen course, the Rise Up program. Obviously your speciality is on the GRC side of things. For someone who wants to kind of maybe enter that side, how could they make themselves stand out? Should they do certain certifications? What do you recommend for those people?
Yeah, so I think in a position like mine, or as specialist solution consultant in general, I think 3 skills are important, right? So one, of course, is some kind of technical knowledge that you need to have. So if it's ServiceNow specific already, even better. But if not, okay, but you should have some affinity for that technical stuff, right? The other is domain expertise, especially when you're on the specialist consultant side. Knowing what you're talking about is crucial. So being able to talk to chief risk officers, to chief compliance officers, and they notice if you don't know what you're talking about, right? So, and the third one is soft skills, presentation skills, and communication skills, right? So, and I would always say you don't have to have all the 3 to enter an area like ours, but you should have 2 of them to have a soft start. So it was like, for me, I didn't have any technical skills before. Nothing, right? So I had the domain expertise, I had the soft skills from doing, anti-money laundering trainings and stuff like that. So I could present, I of course had the domain knowledge, what made it easy for me to talk to people, but I lacked the technical side. And that's fine, because with the other ones, you can, to some degree, compensate that until you keep up. But I think it's very difficult, especially in a very specialized area, if you're missing too much of the foundation. So then it's very hard for you to keep up. And the certifications and all the learning that ServiceNow provides out there is great. It's a great start. And I see people moving from marketing roles into solution consultant roles, or coming from the outside, as special matter experts. And those learning courses that exist, and the certifications, they do help, right? And it's a good argument if you say, hey, I've already done that, right? You put some effort in already, right? So and that's great to see. But in the end, I think the certification is not critical, right? So like I said, if you have it, it's a benefit. But if not, and you can compensate with either of the other parts, that is still fine. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's amazing. And when you started, where you said that you lacked the technical knowledge, what did you personally do to kind of learn it?
Basically, I sat next to people that have that knowledge.
Amazing.
so really just I say, okay, well, I had fantastic colleagues in my first pre-sales role. They were really good presenters. And I basically said to a colleague, well, can you do me a demo? And I just take notes what you do, so that I know the click path. So very basic, right? Yeah. So I could tell the story because I was a special matter expert, but I didn't know where to click. So this is kind of how it started, right? So you click there, and then you can do that. Oh, that's amazing. Okay, I write it down. So that's really how I started that, and from that on, it just evolves, right? So and so you start configuring things, and you don't know where to do it. You read the documentation, but basically reach out to your colleagues. Honestly, and that's definitely. Again, networking. Be nice, dare to ask questions, dare to ask stupid questions. Like, I'm sorry to ask that. I know it's probably super easy for you, but I don't know what to do. How do I configure X, Y, Z? That's what I did. I just annoyed people with my questions.
No, but that's good. They do say that, no, honestly, they do say that is the best way to learn, is to be inquisitive and to ask questions, because it's exactly how you put it. It's like, look, you're an expert, you know how to do this. This is probably easy for you, but for me, yeah, I'm learning, so for me this is hard. So and I think it's great that you shouldn't be shy to ask questions, and
yeah, absolutely.
Afterwards you get the knowledge, and as long as you say thank you, people will always be grateful to help. So I think it's brilliant,
especially when you're new to a company. You can really use that, right? So like to say something like, hey, I'm just using my newbie role here and asking a naive question, right? Why don't you do it that way? So how do you do that? So what does that acronym mean, right? So that's really so just true. In the first month in a company, just ask every question. Doesn't matter which level you enter, if it's a junior role, if it's a senior role. Well, you can't know all that, right? So every company has their own language, there are other acronyms, there's so much stuff to learn, and just dare to ask questions.
No, that's fantastic. That's really good. And obviously now you're going into like a leadership role, which is amazing. In the next role that you're taking up. So, like obviously many leaders, sometimes do feel a sense of like, self-doubt, or am I doing the right thing? How do you kind of overcome those feelings of, am I doing the right thing, to being confident, going, yeah, this is this is good, this is what we should do? Yeah, what are your thoughts?
Well, I think those doubts probably often come from comparison, right? So you look up to people, and there's this chief whatever officer, right? And you say, oh wow, he must be great, right? So she must be great. I don't know. So I always try to look behind the title, just seeing the human being, and say, okay, in Germany we got that saying like, everyone's cooking with water, right? So they learn it at some point. So I really try to remove that comparison. But I mean, my mom always used to say to me, well, you got a self-confidence like to the moon and back, right? So probably I got it in me a bit, so that I don't have a lot of self-doubt, to be honest. But sometimes you're sitting together with people having a very high title, or I don't know. I learned that pretty early, right? So as I said, I was an auditor pretty early, with beginning of my 20s, right? So I had to talk with the management board nearly weekly or multiple times a month, and I had to overcome that, right? And not being in being kind of shocked being in front of them, but just do your thing, right? So it's just another human being on the other side. So, and really trying to have that, human connection. That typically helps me, right? So, I mean, people who go on stage and say like, well, imagine everyone's not wearing clothes or any other funny stuff or something like that. But for me, is it really like, just who is it in front of you? It's a person, and you should respect them like they should respect you, just because of the fact that you are a good person, right? And if they are not a good person, okay, then I can doubt my respect. Really, it's that personal, that human level first, and that's how I try to handle that. Because of course, sometimes you think, oh, can I really do that? Oh, and that's gonna be a big role, or whatever. So I had that a couple of times in my career, and then I say, well, just try, right? Just try. Right? They learned it too. You learn it.
Yeah, definitely. And, also, someone believed in you enough to kind of give you that responsibility to say, hey, can you do this, so definitely. But I really like the fact that, you said, like, don't compare yourself to other people. And, I think these days, in fact, probably is like way back as well. But obviously now with social media and everything, I think everybody's like looking at each other going, oh, wow, how did you get that title, or why am I not there, and it's like, that's where it kind of creeps in. But if you just like you say, build a connection with them, and realize actually they're a human being and you're both doing a great job, it kind of takes away those nerves. So Yeah, so definitely. So look, I think it's really important to be, to balance kind of ambition with also being, a human as well, having some humility. And, how do you balance that? How do you manage to stay grounded, but still being very, very successful in the position you are today?
Again, having a family and friends and giving that priority. So, you've been to Vegas, right? To one of these ServiceNow events, and when you're there, you're kind of in a bubble, right? And you come back home, and I think we chatted about that too, right? So like you come back home and you need to get back to reality, right? And that's I think last year I had it was in a lucky position to go on a family vacation right after Vegas, and I came back. I was home and I was sitting here in my home office, and I was like, well, wow, what just happened, right? But a couple of days later, I was at the beach with my kids, and that kind of calmed me down. You see, okay, well, that was all fun, but this is what really matters, right? So, and what I learned to do is to block out my calendar for family time, may it be family lunch, family dinner, or whatever, and this is really non-negotiable. So I don't accept any meetings. I put that first. Yes, you can always have something extremely urgent where you say, okay, there's a multi-million-dollar deal behind it or whatever. Yes, of course, then you make exceptions, but not for the daily stuff. Not for, hey, let's have a chat, let's have a one-on-one or whatever. No. That's always highest priority in my calendar that I block this out because I really need that. And yes, it is important to progress with a career and to have some dedication to work and bring commitment, and I do that. I've absolutely no problem with working late. I don't know, when I put my kids to bed, going back to my desk at 8 p.m. or something and finish work, that's completely fine. But I take those 2 hours from 6 to 8 to have that time with my kids, and after that I still do that. On the other hand, I think you're still yourself, right? So, and to be there for your family, to perform at work, it's important to take care of yourself. So another thing that I do every day or multiple times a week is my sports, right? So I work out early in the morning. I set my alarm to, 5 a.m., 5:30 a.m., go to the gym, have my workout, and then I'm back with the family when they start their day. So, and no one can take that away from me at that point anymore, right? So that is another thing that I always talk about, putting family first, of course, but to be able to do that, I think you need to take care of yourself too.
Yeah, definitely. I like it because you give yourself some me time, so you give yourself some space where you probably don't have to talk to anybody in the gym or anything like that, and then you come home, you have your family time, and then you got your work time. So it's like a really nice balance that you've got, which is really, really lovely. So
yeah, and I think you need to do that, right? Because especially in those positions, right, in a role that is near sales or sales itself. Your day is unpredictable, right? So every time there could be, can you jump on a call with that customer? Or can we extend that call? Or can we move it by an hour or something like that? So if you don't take your time when you blocked it, or very early in the morning or whenever, your daily schedule can ruin that. So your daily work can ruin, not the schedule, your daily work can ruin that. And this is why I would try to have those fixed time blocks for for the important pieces.
Well, hopefully nobody's arranging meetings 5 o'clock in the morning. Let's hope not. Oh, that's amazing. So look, my final question, okay, if you could go back in a time machine and talk to your 21-year-old self, what advice would you give him?
Oh, wow. That is a difficult one, because in the end, I think the journey that you make and the mistakes you make, that they really define you, right? So, and I like where I'm now, and so I wouldn't want to change too much with such a comment to my younger self. But I think, well, there are two things that I should have known more clearly, maybe a bit earlier. So one is be vocal about what you want. Tell people about your ambitions. So especially if you want to climb the ladder, it's tell people that you want to take responsibility. Because especially in a huge company like ServiceNow, it is. So it's like, how should people know that? So how should a guy that I maybe talk to, 6 times a year on a call with 20 people know that I'm willing to take on more responsibility? So this is something that I would tell myself. So tell your ambitions to people that should know. And one other thing, just to calm down innerly, is doesn't matter if you like it or not, but internal politics exist, and internal titles do matter. So I was always that guy that said, well, the way I do my job should speak for itself. I don't care what title someone has. Either you are a manager or you're an individual contributor, black or white. But in the end, there are multiple shades of gray in that space. And the thing is that you need to play that game to rise up, I think. And I learned that the hard way myself. So one just last anecdote here, where I had a nice conversation with a very friendly colleague a couple of years back. So, 10, 15 years back. We had a great idea to enhance processes and everything. It's like, well, right, that would be cool. And a week later, I learned that he sold that as it was his idea and his idea purely. And I was like, whoa, okay, I didn't expect that. So learning to do some self-marketing, talk about things that you're doing good, not being arrogant, not showing off, but if you do something good, tell people, right? And let people know that you're doing good. And even if you don't care about the title that you have in an organization, there are people that do care. And maybe you're just missing the opportunity to be on a call, to be asked for something. Well, it's like that. So sometimes I maybe settled for a title that was too low, and that could be an obstacle later on, right? So just because you think it's not important and it doesn't matter who's got whose title, there are people who think that way, and it's just a game that you need to play. And that's something that I learned the hard way. But that would have been a bit easier if I'd known, or if I'd realized that before.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic advice. So perfect. Well, listen, Marc, I just want to say a huge thank you for coming on today. It's been an absolute pleasure to see you once again. And hopefully next time we meet at Knowledge, we'll get those Diet Coke cans.
Hopefully.
Yeah, brilliant. So perfect. Thank you so much for coming on, Marc. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Farah.